welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today I'm really excited to be bringing you a video that I've been thinking about for quite some time, and it's a little ambitious. I'm not gonna lie, maybe a little bit too ambitious, but we shall see. I was picking out my TBR for this video and I knew I wanted to read like dragon books, and then I realized after I picked out my TBR that a lot of these books were popular on TikTok, hence the reading TikTok dragon books title. Let's just dive into my TBR and you will understand why it is so ambitious. Starting with the most ambitious plan of all, this absolute brick of a book, which is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Now, I don't really remember what this book is about, and the back isn't giving me much other than protecting a realm from destruction. There's assassins involved, there's a little bit of politics, there's division within the East and the West, there's a dragon rider. So those elements all sound intriguing. This book has been on my TBR for so many years. I put it on my TBR, I think back in 2021, and then in 2022, I was like, I would love to get to that. And then I officially put it on my TBR in 2023, didn't get to it, put it back on my TBR in 2024, so I'm hoping I can finally get to this book. I started hearing very, very mixed things about this book. Originally, it was like, everyone loves this book, pick it up immediately. But then the longer that this book has been out, the more negative things I've heard about it. I've heard it's confusing, not very well fleshed out, a little bit chaotic, maybe a little bit slow, and I just want to see for myself. I love dragons, and I don't know why I haven't picked up more books that involve dragons. I thought that this would be a perfect book to finally get to. I mean, it's been so many years since I've been wanting to, so I'd love to get it off my TBR, basically. That is the plan. It is a very ambitious read. It is like 800 pages. It's so freaking thick, but like the floppiness is kind of nice. Not gonna lie. Not typically a fan of the floppy paperbacks, but this one's pretty nice. I just finished The Way of King recently, and that was over 1,000 pages, so I'm just on my tome roll. I'm like, what's an 800 page book? You know, I just read one over 1,000 pages, you know, 800 is nothing. We'll see though, because there's another long book on my TBR that I'll get to, but this is the first one. The next book that I put on my TBR is Dragonfall by R.L. Lamb. Now, this was kindly gifted me by Jan Acton, which is very thematic because the very last day that I'll be filming this video, I get to see Jan. I am flying down. I always say I'm flying down, even though I'm literally the most south you can be in the States, even though I'm literally always flying up, because I lived in Texas prior, the most south state, and now I live in Florida, which is still so south. So I'm flying up to Chicago to visit Jan, and I'm so bloody excited. She might pick this up with me. It might be like a little buddy read moment, but she was a little unsure about whether or not she wanted to pick it up, so it just depends on her mood, but I will certainly be doing my best to get to this book. And it's not too terribly long. It's just over 300 pages, so I'm not too worried. It's got a cute little map. Very interesting style has been chosen for this map, but oh, I love the compass though. Look at that. That's cute. From what I understand about this book, the humans like banished dragons to a dying world, and they've kind of become gods and almost like mythical I mean, they are mythical beings, but like things that didn't really exist, right? Like they worship the dragons as gods, but the dragons do not forget what the humans did to them. And there's some sort of, I guess, revenge being acted upon. I think there's a dragon that like is a person. Yeah, there's a dragon like disguised as a human that's trying to save his kind, basically. I don't really love going into books knowing like too much, which is clear because the synopsis I've been giving for these books have been so vague. But it's fun for you that way. It's fun for me that way. I get to go into the book not knowing much about it and then kind of explain what the heck's going on after I read like 100 pages or so. And then the next one that I have is actually coming in later today or tomorrow, I think. And it's a book that I said that I wouldn't pick up. And then the more I looked at this cover, the more I was like, wait, I kind of want this book. Like, it's really pretty. It is one of those TikTok books. I mean, like, all of these technically are, and I have been burned by TikTok too many times, and yet I never learned my lesson. And the book that I have put on is When the Moon Hatched by, I think it's Sarah A. Parker. Look at this cover. Isn't it gorgeous? She's so pretty. And I'll be so honest, I don't recall exactly what this book is about, but something about the moon, something about dragons. It seems simple and easy to digest and not too complicated or convoluted. That's what I've gathered so far. And I'm fairly certain it's I hate the word romantasy, but it's marketed as a romantasy book, I do believe. So if I go into it with low expectations, I'm hoping it'll just be a silly, goofy, fun time. So that's the goal for this other book, but this book is 700 pages. So I have an 800-page book, a 700-page book, and an over 300-page book. Plenty of reading, very, very ambitious of me. I am highly aware of how ambitious this TBR is, but I'm hoping against all hopes that I can do it. I'm trying to do this in like a week. This is like the one day off that I have guaranteed. And then for the next 6 days, I'm on call. I'm a flight attendant, if you don't know, and I'm basically on reserve, which means I'm basically on call all the time. Today's like my one day off, and then the rest of the month I'm either traveling, like I said, I'm visiting Jan, and then I'm also visiting Katie, and then I have 6 days on again, and then I'm visiting home. So it's a little bit of a hectic month, but I'm hoping that this week I could take some time, prep for my chaotic second half of this month, and just get some really good reading done. So I am going to actually start with picking up Priory of the Orange Tree, mostly because if I don't start with this book, I don't think it'll ever happen. Because my rule was, if I don't read this book this year, I think I'm gonna have to unhaul it, and I don't want to unhaul it. I want to read it. I want to see what this book is about. I want to see if the opinions that people have are correct. I mean, not that opinions can be right or wrong, but I love to forge my own opinion on this and finally stop talking about how I'm going to read Priory and instead actually read it. I know, it's such a concept that is so outside of my typical realm, but let's go ahead and get to reading because I don't want to delay this anymore. I have managed to make it a whole 96 pages in. I am on chapter 8 into Priory, and I thought by now I'd have at least like a semblance of understanding of where this story is going, but I am floundering trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with this book. I heard that this book was confusing and there's so much introduction, so many characters, so many locations that are introduced like straight off the bat that you're just like assumed to know and to understand. But I didn't think it was this bad because wow, it has been a whirlwind trying to figure out what this book is about. from what I understand, we have a character who is tasked with protecting a queen of a different nation. She was sent to protect someone. She has some sort of magical abilities to set up wards, to like sense threats, but her undercover disguise, I want to say undercover, is as a like privy maid. So she helps with some of the queen's things. Another character who has been accepted to become a dragon rider, and she was part of what went down in the first chapter, and what she did in the first chapter apparently is really bad and really sketchy and not a good look. And then we have a set of characters that got sent away to a location that's basically like a death trap for them, so that probably won't go well, but they're on a boat right now. And I love me some boats, so they're on like a pirate ship, a privateer's ship. Not a pirate ship, but it's a pirate ship. I read only one chapter with them on a pirate ship, and they ran into a dragon that should not be around, basically. It hasn't been seen for quite some time, and people are like, oh, this is probably not a good thing. So honestly, that's all I've gathered. Character names, I have somewhat managed to differentiate all the different characters, but locations, and then when it comes to the court, because like I said, one of our characters, Ede, she is the like protector of the queen, but unofficially, and also it'd be a really bad look if she was found out. So Ede, because she is helping the queen and she's like in this court and she's also kind of eavesdropping and spying at the same time, she interacts with a lot of different characters, but not necessarily interacts with them, but more like eavesdrop upon a lot of characters talking about other characters and places. So there's a lot. Okay, I just finished Brandon Sanderson and he's a lot, okay? But this book, whole different level. And court politics are always fun. Like, I do love me some good court politics, and the kind of setup should be good, but I wish it just wasn't so much. There is so much. I'm hoping that I will come to understand most of it. I just wish 100 pages in I was already at that point, but maybe it's gonna take another 100 pages or so for me to fully get the grasp of what's going down. So far, literally, we've just been introduced to characters and they've done things, but we have no explanation about why they've done certain things. I mean, we've gotten some explanation, but it was confusing because it has to do with places that we are not in. Of course, there's like religion tied into a lot of this, so they're looking for alliances, but they can't align with certain people that worship wyverns and worms because that's a bad look for this particular kingdom. So it's a lot. Like I've said multiple times, I'm happy with the amount of progress I've made so far. I might read a little bit more, maybe another 100 pages or so today. I also want to work on, I'm creating an original map piece right now. I talked about it in my last vlog. I want to work on that for a little bit, and I actually have the audiobook, so shout out to Katie for letting me borrow her audiobook of Priory so I can listen to that as I draw. But that is something that I want to do. But before we even do that, I have a package that I want to open right now. It might be the book that I was talking about this morning. It is, oh my gosh. I've looked at this cover so much online, and to see it in person. Also, this feels like a JLA book. Okay, look at the back. Look how cute. And then the little spine. And then the front. Are you kidding me? Like, that's so pretty. I hope it's good. I'm a little scared, but I do love, like, we have a pronunciation guide with some artwork on it. We've got, ooh, the dedication: for those who feel small and quiet, spread those wings and roar. Low-key, kind of sounds like a Katy Perry song, but look at the illustrations. I do, and even the chapter illustrations. Anyways, I love that books have gotten fancier with artwork, with maps. Like, I know a lot of books have always included maps, but it's just been really fun to see like chapter headers, maps, sprayed edges. I love just how pretty books have become. Like, there's our little map for this one. I don't really like it printed on the cover like that, but you know, what can you do? So this is book 1 of the Moonfall series. It says, the creators did not expect their beloved dragons to sail skyward upon their end, to curl into balls just beyond gravity's grip, littering the sky with tombstones with moons. They certainly did not expect them to fall. So it's definitely I really do hate saying romanticy. I hate that phrase has been coined. It's a fantasy romance. We're gonna have to, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's a fantasy romance book. I'm hoping it'll be fast-paced. I read some Goodreads reviews and they were not exactly glowing. Okay, they weren't glowing at all. Some included snippets of writing that I found mildly questionable, but we're gonna plow ahead and hopefully enjoy it. This probably will be the book I pick up after Priory, unless Priory takes me forever and then I only get to 2 books. So hopefully I can get to this one, but keep the expectations low. I am a little bit nervous for this, but like the cover is truly phenomenal. I am really excited to have this on my bookshelf. And that is that. I am going to go and draw now. I really struggle with starting new art projects, but lately I've just been in such a mood to draw. So let's go do that. And I probably will either talk to you tonight if I read more of Priory, or it might just be like a little bit of a tomorrow update. So yeah, let's go draw. If I'm gonna be so honest, it's actually been a couple days since I last spoke to you. A couple days back, I didn't pick up Priory at all, even though I tried my darndest to. Literally so much resistance, and then yesterday I ended up reading for like 3 hours. So finally got some decent progress. I'm about halfway through the book, I would say. I'm on page 407, which is part 3, chapter 38. Oh boy, I had genuine thoughts about DNFing this book. Not even gonna lie, the first 200 pages were rough. Hell, the first 400 pages have been rough, but I'm determined to persevere through, even though I'm so lost. I feel like the setup for this story is too much. Like, I understand it's a high fantasy, but at the same time, it's just a standalone. We don't need this world, I feel like, to be this expansive so quickly when it's just the one book. If it was a series, it would make sense because then we would gradually be fed information, gradually learn about the new locations and all of the important people. But instead, we're all over the world, which I think is the most confusing part, is we're following 3 main POVs, and they're in very separate places with very separate people and cultures and beliefs and religion. It's really hard to keep track of everything. I've got somewhat of an understanding. So we have 3 different religions. We have the Virtudum, which is located in Iris, I believe it's called, or Innis or something like that. And then we have Draconic, something like that. and they worship the Nameless One, which is what Birchedom is totally against. And then there's Dawnsinger, I believe. I'm so fuzzy on the names, but it's something vaguely like that. And they are the people that actually live in the Priory of the Orange Tree, and that is like the truth, the true religion. Apparently, again, like, I think everyone believes that their religion is true. It's always so interesting to see the narratives change depending on who is where and what is going on. There was a little bit of a reveal with like the Draconic religion and what's actually going on in certain locations, and I found that actually quite intriguing, but it felt so rushed. Like, this whole book feels so incredibly slow and yet so incredibly fast at the same time. I'm like, how have you managed this? Like, I really wanted to be invested, and honestly, the only reason I even read like the chunk of pages that I did yesterday was because each chapter kept ending on like a little bit of a cliffhanger, a little bit of intrigue, and I was like, I don't want to lose my momentum. I'm gonna just keep reading until I need to go to bed. So I kept up with the momentum simply because the other day I could not bring myself to pick up this book whatsoever. I actually read, I think, a single chapter a couple days back, and that was from the help of Katie. We were on a FaceTime call, and I had a little exclusive Katie is Reading Presents audiobook of this. So that was like the only thing that got me to read a single chapter the other day, but I spent all day being like, I really need to read this book. And then the reality was I really did not feel like reading this book. Like I said, I really wanted to DNF it, but I'm determined to persevere through it. I think that there's so much unnecessary information in this book. Like, it's unbelievable the amount of unnecessary information we have been given. We get backstories on certain things, or we drop character names of certain things that have no need to be in this book. Like explaining what a certain statue in the garden is and like who it is. We don't need that. Or giving an example of like so-and-so did this in the past, and then like giving you the name and the history. I'm like, why? There's already so much you're trying to establish in this book. Why are you adding to the reader's confusion? Because at first I was convinced. I was like, okay, this is definitely like a me problem. Like, I'm confused. It's gonna take me a little bit to get in, but I'm 400 pages in and I have like the bare necessities of understanding to get through this book. And I think I'm just annoyed for the most part. I don't understand the intrigue with this book because it feels messy, and I hate being right. Well, it wasn't my prediction of saying it was messy, it was the people's. And I understand it so much now because it's just all over the place. We're getting so much unnecessary information dumped on our plate that just adds to the confusion instead of clarifying the confusion. So I feel like this could have been chopped up in terms of locations and character name drops. Like, I don't mind the different locations now that I have a grasp of understanding about the different cultures and such, and I think some of them are very interesting, especially because religion is so tied to them. However, I find that it's just too flooded with stuff. It's just too much stuff. And if it was a series, it would make sense. Again, because things could be split up and it wouldn't feel so almost info dumpy, but also the characters just feel so inauthentic. They keep having moments where they just find something out so conveniently. Things keep happening. The plot conveniences are actually insane, that each of our characters, things just happen, but there's no foreshadowing, there's no build up. Like, even in the very beginning, there's a character named Dr. Roos, and he hides, this is like the first couple of chapters, so I wouldn't really qualify this as a spoiler. He gets wrapped up into hiding someone that shouldn't be on this island, and then there's no inkling of suspicion placed upon him. He's just stressed because like, oh no, like what if I get caught? But then suddenly there's like guards and shit like piling in, and it's like, where was the build up to be like, oh, he was in danger? There was nothing. It was just like, no, he's totally safe. It's like, no, he's not. And there was nothing that he did that would have led to people being suspicious. And then other conveniences that keep happening to other characters, people overhearing certain things, just literally like things falling in these characters' laps constantly, and it's so annoying. I feel like there's no build up, there's no struggle. It's just like, oh, here you go. Oh, here you go. There's been a few deaths, but honestly, I was still at the point of trying to like separate each character from each other because there's no development within the characters. I feel like they're all very just bland, honestly. Like Dr. Roos, the only thing we get from him is he's such a coward, and he's such a coward, and he's gonna lie to save his own teeth, and he's gonna do that. And it's like, okay, we get it, he's a coward. Quit telling us he's a coward. He keeps having internal monologue. He's like, oh, but I am a coward, so I will not do it. I'm like, okay, we've established that he's a coward. You don't have to keep reminding me that he's a coward. You feel? And then the only character that I would love to see more of is Trude, and she was the dragon rider. And she went through these like trials and stuff, and they were the most boring, fast-paced trials. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're not focusing that much on her. Things just now got a little interesting, but it also felt so messy with like the build-up of what just happened, and very anticlimactic for the fact that what just happened is actually major, because we didn't get to spend enough time with Trude. So we now have certain character arcs overlapping, and yet there's no connection to these characters because it's just been all over the place. And then the big event that has happened hasn't even felt that big because we haven't gotten that connection with these characters. And then, I'm not even gonna lie, the romance fucking annoys the hell out of me. I think it is so stupid. So incredibly stupid. So we have, what is her name? Sabran. Sabran is the queen of Innis, and the romance, like, I like the first half of the romance. I was like, okay, maybe, but then I was like, wait, okay, now we're doing this. Sorry, this is really vague, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone that wants to pick this up. The romance that leads to a certain character leaving, it's so stupid because I feel like the character kind of took advantage of Sabran when she was in a very, very fragile state. Like, something absolutely devastating just occurred to Sabran. Honestly, I think it's one of the worst things that someone can go through, and especially with Sabran's character, because of where it was leading. I think it was literally her worst nightmare come to life. Then the romance starts after that. So I feel like Sabran is so vulnerable and so easily taken advantage of almost, and I just didn't see the build up to this romance. Like, I saw the build up of like the flirting, sort of, but I don't know, I don't like it, and it just annoys me. I'm gonna be so honest. It makes me sad because that's kind of where the, what part did I say I was on? I already forgot. Part 3, I think? Yeah, part 3. So that's how part 2 ends, is with certain characters leaving. It's a whole thing, and I don't like it. Because now the romance is gonna be way more heavily like prevalent, I feel like. So those are my thoughts. I probably would have eaten this up back in like 2021, 2020, whenever this book first got popular. But I think I have standards about high fantasy and what I expect from high fantasy, and this is just not it. I think if you're not, I don't know. I was gonna say if you're not into high fantasy, this might be a good gateway book, but it's not, because it's not well done. It's confusing, but it's simple. I don't understand how this book can be so simple and yet so confusing at the same time. I'm literally like, make it make sense. Because there's some development, but also no development. And it's just, it's so bland. Honestly, I'm not very invested in it, and I should DNF it, but I've already invested quite a bit of time, so I'm hoping that I can finish this book in the next couple of days, because it just, I need to move on from it, and it's just not it. It's not it for me, but I do want to finish it. I hate to say it's floating around a 2-star right now, because that's not how I want to start this vlog off. Maybe like a high 2-star, low 3, we'll see. I can't tell if I'm enjoying it though, or just trying to persevere through it. I don't know. We'll see by the end. I'm hoping I can give you like one more update that's a little bit more positive perhaps, because I feel like I've been so negative starting this vlog out, and I don't like being too negative. I'm really sad about this book. I was expecting more, and instead I'm a little bit disappointed. I wasn't even expecting that much, but I was expecting more than what it's giving. So I'm gonna do a little bit more reading, I think, right now actually, just because, like I said, I want to make a little bit more progress at least, but then I might draw a little bit more. I might, I don't know, do something else. I have no idea. I'm on call starting at 2 p.m. It is currently 20 past noon, so I have some time that I can guarantee relax before I'm potentially called. Today is the day in which they would typically call me, so my blocks as of late have been 6 days, and they typically call me when I have 4 days left on my block for a 4-day trip. So mentally, I'm prepared to leave, even though I really don't want to. I really do want to just stay home and read. I'm gonna be so honest. But they might call me to work, and I can kind of feel it. I can feel it in the air that they're gonna call me, so I'll talk to you if that happens. I'll maybe talk to you if it doesn't happen. I have no idea, but for now, let's get to reading. We have a visitor. I sound like you're introducing Winnie.
I really do. Hello, Cass's vlog. How are we all doing today? On this fine, what is it, Friday evening? Hope you're all having a great time. Hope you have all subscribed to Cass. You already know what's coming. You better smash that subscribe button. Freaking annihilate that like button. And leave a comment. Maybe 1 comment, 2 comments, maybe 3 comments. Get that engagement up, guys. Bye.
All right, so there's your entertainment for the night.
And your directions.
Your directions. You heard what Katie said. I heard what we all heard what Katie said. Now let's talk about Priory.
That subscribe button.
All right, silence to you.
I'm sorry.
I have to rant about Priory.
Oh, of course. I'll be quiet. I'm kind of curious to see what you're going to say. Don't mute yourself. I don't know what you're going to say.
I think I'm gonna mute myself.
I will leave.
You'll just have to wait for the vlog like everyone else.
I'm not like everyone. I am not like other girls.
If you must. Alright, so now that Katie has bullied me, let's talk about Priory. Where am I? Hold on, I gotta find my spot. I was listening to the audiobook earlier. Do I even remember what chapter I was on? I made it to chapter 52. I was listening to it on audiobook while I was drawing, and I really enjoyed the narrator. I'm not gonna lie, she had some goofy ass voices for some characters, so docking points for that. But overall, I liked her narration. So we're on page 539. Things did get a little bit interesting, but nothing too outlandish. Okay, I take that back. The villain, and I put that in quotation marks because I didn't even know who this character is. I'm still like mildly lost. I'm like, wait, who was she? Where was any of the foreshadowing that made this person like a villain that was gonna, you know, try to overthrow a crowd? Like, I don't see it. I still don't see it even after like listening to the book a bit further in. I don't understand. And once again, the plot conveniences are starting to irk me. They've been irking me this entire time, but it's gotten to a point now where the way things fall into place is absolutely killing me. Okay, prime example of a scene that just absolutely took me out. So there's this alchemist, and he's been trying to find the elixir of life for like years, his whole life basically. He's tasked with like solving a riddle he's been trying to solve for this like immortality elixir, whatever, that people, like so many people have been trying to solve and have been unable to in 3 days. In 3 days, this man solves a riddle that has been leaving people wondering for years about it. And then the same things happen to another character about another mystery. She solves it. She goes, huh, I think this leads to this. And I think this, oh my gosh, I have just discovered the truth. I'm like, what? No, where? How? Like, the pieces are just given to these characters. There is no build-up. It's just like, there's this great mystery that this character is gonna magically it infuriates me to no end because this book is so boring for it. Things just keep happening so perfectly for these characters, and it irks me. Because even the challenges that they face, I feel like are not authentic challenges because I know they're just gonna overcome it in like 30 seconds. Like, oh no, they're being chased by so-and-so. Oh, conveniently, the people that are chasing them are attacked by dragons. Wow. How thrilling was that chase? Like, I knew they were gonna get away. Are you enjoying my rant so far?
I'm absolutely enjoying your rant so far.
Okay. That's all that really matters, you know? Okay, I mean, y'all do matter, but like, Katie's over here, you know? Katie's on the floor, forced to listen to me, so I had to check in, yeah. Total wellness update.
Thank you for being so concerned.
Oh, naturally. So, that's kind of my update. This will probably be, unless something crazy happens, like the last update that I give before I finish this book. I am enjoying it a little bit more because more things are happening that are at least a little bit more intriguing. I finally understand how all the points of views are going to come together. Also, I said in my last update that we're following 3 points of views. We're definitely following 4, but like one of them's so forgettable that I proceeded to forget about him. So maybe. It's okay. Like I said, I enjoyed listening to the audiobook, and I might actually just proceed to continue listening to the audiobook for the rest of it because I don't know if I have it in me to do any more physical reading of this book. But who knows? Not me, that's for sure. I'm really frustrated. I wanted to enjoy this book so much, and yet I'm not. And this is a long book to not enjoy. So we're really gonna push through, and then we're all gonna really hope that I enjoy When the Moon Hatched, because I don't know if I can take 2 books back to back that are not so grand. It's still sitting at the previous star rating that I gave it, maybe like a little bit higher, but I don't know. It hasn't been the best. I shall talk to you probably when I finish this book. I need this to be done. I need this to be over. I'm so sad. I didn't want to give another negative update, but here we are. Okay, you're freed from your silence.
Yay! Honestly, I love hearing you rant about things.
I just feel so passionate about this book and how much I just like it.
Your hatred for Priory.
I think I didn't even have high expectations. Like, I had mild expectations, and I've been far more disappointed than I was ever expecting with this book.
So sorry.
A tragedy. Truly. I really hope I don't fucking hate When the Moon Hatched. It is the next day. It is like noon, and I managed to stay up late reading a huge chunk of this book, and then I woke up this morning and finished this book off, which honestly was kind of nice. Not necessarily the book, but reading in the morning is something that I hardly ever do. Typically the second I wake up, I'm like, gotta be productive, gotta get on that grind, gotta get stuff done. But just starting my morning off so slow and spending time reading and just relaxing, I was like, wait, this is kind of nice, because typically I'm more of a night reader or like a late afternoon type of reader, but maybe the morning readers are onto something, because that was a really nice way to start my day. But what was not a nice way to start my day was finishing this book and being so unbelievably annoyed with it. I don't want to shit on this book for too much longer, because most of this vlog has been just me shitting on this book, and I've had enough. But I will let you know, I gave it a solid 2.5 stars. Honestly, almost rated it a low 3, and then when I just get so pressed because this book is so unbelievably long and all the time I sunk into it, but the climax of this book, the massive battle that we spent so long building up to, was a grand total of 20 pages. The battle was 20 pages, and it literally was over like that. I was like, no, because there was like 60 pages left, and I'm like, wow, they're gonna have to do a lot in these 60 pages, and then the fight scene was 20, and then the wrap up was 40, and I was like, oh, no, why? Why? We had characters giving us absolutely nothing. We had character arcs that made no sense. The magical switch that a certain character did at the end of this book irked me to no end. I was like, you have built this character up to be so untrustworthy, and then suddenly he has this grand breakthrough reveal of like, that's not who I am anymore. Woe is me. Really? I will say I enjoyed the second half of this book a little bit more because we focused a little bit more on Tane, which was nice, except for we should have focused a lot more on her in the beginning. For when we finally did get so much more of her character, we could actually, I don't know, connect to her, be invested in her story. There's also a character that had this off-screen romance, I want to say, and you just don't feel for it. There's nothing to feel. Even Sabran irked me by the end. I was just over everyone, over everything, and I actually took some time to peruse the Goodreads reviews, because I do love doing that when I finish a book either I really, really love or really, really despise, or just in general. Honestly, I love seeing other people's thoughts on books, hence the BookTube channel, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one that despised this book, and I am not. Someone was like, this is one of those books that you finish and you think a lot happened, and then you take a moment to think, and then you realize nothing actually happened, which is so bloody true, because how can this book be 800 pages and yet everything cool that they built into the story was hardly explored, and all the boring shit was stretched beyond belief. There was a plot in the very beginning, and it has to do with like the Dragonic Empire. And it was so interesting. And that character, I was like, wow, she has some really cool potential. We're gonna get to see more of her. That is such a cool storyline. I was invested. And we never saw her again. Why? Same with like the Priory of the Orange Tree. So much more potential, and it was wasted. It was so wasted because we hardly explored our time while we were there, and it was just boring. And it irks me because we spent so much time in this Innish court focusing on Sabran and her stupid little romance, and the romance at the end, and this should have been cut down to like a 400-page book max, or chop it into a series. Take time to explore and focus on each character instead of just the messiness that was this book. So, unfortunately, 2.5 stars. And I think that's all I'm gonna say about Priory, because I feel like I've ranted about this book so much. But I did finish Priory and then immediately pick up When the Moon Hatched, because I just needed something. I needed a palate cleanser. Honestly, this might not be the best palate cleanser because I'm still reeling over how much I was disappointed by Priory. And I'm hoping, because my expectations of this book are so low, maybe I'll at least casually enjoy it. I'm about 54 pages in on chapter 7. We have been introduced to our main character, Rave, and she is a bounty hunter or an assassin, and she brutally murders someone within the first like 30 pages. Deserved, absolutely deserved. And I think we might have been introduced to a potential love interest, which I love. Like, this book has been compared, I'm pretty sure, to Throne of Glass and like Selena Sardothien, and I love some snarky assassins. Guilty pleasure, okay? However, I'm unsure, and I don't know if it's just because I've been burned by this book, which also, what's up with the lack of, no, we're gonna, well, okay, hear me out. No. The lack of like good dragon content in a book with a dragon on the cover was just devastating. So I'm hoping this one will actually deliver some good dragons, because the dragons that we did get in this book, I liked, but why did we hardly get them? Okay. Taking a second to compose myself. But yeah, I'm only like 50 pages in. It's in first person, which I don't know if it's just this author's writing or I just haven't read a first person in a while. It just is so jarring to read the word I like over and over again. I'm really trying to think of the last first person book that I read, and it could have been recently and I just never really noticed. It's taken me a little bit to get into. The writing is nothing to write home about really. It's nothing special, but it's making for a book that's easy to get into, unlike some other behemoths that I've recently read. I shouldn't be as irked as I am, but I am. Anyways, back on track. I think I'll do like a little bit more reading of this tonight. I have 3 more days until I get to meet and visit Jan, which is very, very exciting. I don't know how much of this book I'll have done by then. I'm hoping I'll either be able to finish it before my trip or have enough left to entertain me on my plane ride there. So hoping I can get to page like 400 in the next 3 days. I am once again on call for work. I was really convinced they were going to call me yesterday and they did not. So I am very convinced that today they will call me. So yay. I got my schedule for May, which is exciting because I'm planning yet another trip to visit Katie. So I just love the perks of my new job, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm once again hoping I don't get called, so I probably will get called. We're gonna just keep putting that energy out. Honestly, I might read a little bit more of this tonight, like I said, but in terms of my plans for today, I really want to work on my map. I don't know if I'm gonna record any, but I also need to pack orders. So we'll see what I do. Maybe I'll record some, maybe I won't. Honestly, unsure. But I kind of want to just get in the zone. I drew quite a bit yesterday, and when I slip into the zone with my art, it was so freeing, and I think I'm gonna do that. I'm first gonna pack some shop orders. I have some orders that have built up, so I'm excited to get those shipped out, and then we shall draw. So I will talk to you maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow, whenever I read a little bit more of When the Moon Hatched, but I'm really hoping that this doesn't burn me as hard as Priory did. Can someone please teach me the definition of insanity? Because what I keep doing is just textbook definition, and I do not learn. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say about TikTok books and how many times I've been burned? Will I never learn? The answer evidently is no, I shall never learn. So let's talk about When the Moon Hatched. I have made it 230 pages in. It's not going great. It's not going great, and it's not gonna go great. Actually, it's gonna go great because I have decided to absolutely, positively DNF and get rid of this book. So if you want to give it a shot yourself, it's on my Pango. Y'all, mistakes were made with this book. The writing is actually horrendous. Like, I gave the first 50 pages a shot and I was like, okay, maybe it's just like the first person writing is gonna take me a little bit to get into. And then I was like, okay, our main character is kind of insufferable, but maybe she'll grow on me. Maybe the love interest and like the romance will finally, you know, pick up, start happening. We didn't really get to even like meet the potential, I think, love interest until page like 200 or something like that. And I have just had enough of Rave. Is that how? Let me check the pronunciation guide so I can properly shit on this character. Okay, it is Rave. Take Selena Sardothien in the beginning of the Throne of Glass series, if you've read it, and make her like 10 times more insufferable and annoying and just so not like other girls. Oh my goodness. When will I learn? And just like the lines in this book are absolutely not it. Let me read you one just to really convince you to pick up this book, yeah? You can reshape a turd an infinite number of times, but it's still a turd. It still stinks. I was forced to read that line. Speaking of turds, we have had turd, shat, poop, feces. Like, why is there so much focus on shit? Terms of phrases being used, like it just being brought up all the time. I'm like, why have we had so much focus on shit? I don't understand. There is another line I think you will absolutely enjoy so much. Oh goodness. I can't imagine like what the rest of this book is gonna behold, but actually let's do this real quick. Ooh, it makes me feel better. Okay, the tight bodice makes my already full breasts almost spill from the neckline, and though that played the part last slumber, I look entirely overdressed. Skipping a few lines. I grab the tail of my veil, rearranging it so it's draped across my bust, hiding all my perky, pale flesh. Much better. Why does this give me the vibes that it was written by a man? Because why are we writing women like this? Not my cup of tea at all. I don't even want to speak about this book anymore because I feel like so much of this vlog has been so incredibly negative. I want to switch that around. Obviously, something that will help that is that I get to see Jan tomorrow. I'm gonna meet her tomorrow. I'm very, very excited. She's picking me up, I think, around like 4 p.m. But I have another friend that's actually in Chicago, that I haven't seen in over 3 years, I think. We met like 5 years ago. I realized she was in Chicago. She reached out. I was like, hey, I'm literally going to Chicago soon, so we're gonna grab brunch. It'll be so lovely. So obviously that, very excited about. I hope Dragonfall will not burn me. I am keeping that on my TBR, and that's probably gonna be the last book that I actually complete in this vlog. But I did actually want to speak about Malice by John Gwynne. I know this is kind of diverging from my dragon-themed reading vlog, but I needed good literature. I needed a good book. I read Stormlight Archive, and I was like, oh, so incredibly good. And then I read Priory, I was like, ugh. And then I started When the Moon Hatched, and I was like, ugh. And then I've been reading a little bit of Art and Gwen Are Not in Love. The author's name escapes me, but I've just been listening to it on audiobook while I'm working on my map. It's okay. It's not like great or anything. I've just been casually listening to it, not super invested in the plot or the characters or anything. I'm just like background noise basically. But Malice by John Gwynne. My goodness, my Patreons, especially Kennedy. I see you, girl. She has been hounding me in a very polite way to pick up Malice, and honestly, so happy I did, because immediately I was enraptured in this book. I'm only 4 chapters in, and the writing, I love it so much. The atmosphere, I love it. We're following these 2 boys at the beginning, Corbin and Daff, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. I'm reading it on my phone, and I'm using my phone to hook up to my camera, so I can't like check the facts. So we're gonna go with those names. But this couple is getting married, doing a little hand fasting. They're exploring like the fairgrounds, and there's like all these different games and vendors, and they're, you know, buying little practice swords and like fighting, and it was just giving me so much joy because I love atmospheres like that. There's scenes in Range's Apprentice that also have these characters like exploring fairgrounds and just enjoying their time. It felt very reminiscent of that, and Range's Apprentice is my all-time favorite series, so anything that reminds me of that in the slightest, I am obviously loving. And this book just screams my name. Truly, I think I'm going to adore this book. Weirdly enough, before I was being politely hounded by my patrons to pick this up, I actually went to Barnes & Noble and it caught my eye because the cover, love. I'm going to have to buy this series and his other series, which I think is like Shadow of the Gods or something like that. My low-key book buying ban where I'm only trying to buy like 1 or 2 books a month. Like, it's about to be thrown out the window with this series. I can absolutely feel it, but it caught my eye. I read the synopsis and I was like, wait, that sounds so good. But I told myself I was only gonna buy XOXO by Axio, and that's the little video that I had, and that's what I did. But I did go back to that book 3 times to pick it up and potentially be like, should I buy this? This sounds right up my alley. And I just didn't. Don't ask me to tell you what it's about because I don't recall. 4 chapters in and I'm obsessed, and I don't know if that's just because I was coming off a very low of When the Moon Hatched. I don't think I'll speak about it anymore in this vlog just because I'm literally leaving tomorrow to go see Jan, and today I have a few errands that I need to run, and by a few I mean 1. I'm going to the post office. I have some shop orders that I need to drop off, but I am so happy today. I don't know if you can tell, I'm in such a jubilant mood because last night, right before I went to bed, I got a little notification on my phone basically releasing me from duty for today, and I love it. There's so much logistical things with our schedule, it's kind of hard to explain, but I was on a 6-day block, and there's like a certain point when you're on 6 days that you can't work on the 6th day. So sometimes crew services will just release you, set you free. I was like, screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. I am not reporting for duty tomorrow. You cannot call me. I am free. So I have like a surprise day off that I'm like definitely off. Like, they cannot call me. Like, leaving the watch at home because the watch has now, it's not traumatizing me, but I don't like constantly needing to be tied in to my technology, which I need to do when I'm on call because if they call me, gotta pick up. But on the days that I'm off, I'm like, smartwatch, be gone. I do not want you on my wrist. So I'm just in such a good mood. Honestly, I don't know where the wind will take me today. Who knows? I might end up at Barnes & Noble and pick up Malice. Like, it's so tempting. Should I? We'll see. You'll see if I end up doing that, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on When the Moon Hatched and my reasonings behind my DNF. But honestly, we're gonna turn this vlog around. We're gonna go meet Jan. We're gonna read Dragonfall. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited. So hopefully you enjoy the more jubilant, exciting portion of this vlog. I feel like I've been just too busy shooting on books, but the turning point is now, and I'm just so excited. returned with books in hand. I'm so excited! I picked up two. Y'all already know and saw which two. The first one being The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Y'all already knew this was coming. I'm so excited. So I actually posted my May Patreon buddy read vote this morning, and most of my patrons already voted, and this is winning. And I am so excited about it. So I thought I'd go ahead and buy myself a copy. This is a Norse-inspired epic fantasy, and I'm just so excited. I mean, look at the cover. Look at the little dude facing off that massive dragon. I would be shitting myself in terror. It was not on the shelf where all the John Gwynne books were. I was literally like, Malice and Shadow of the Gods are not there. What's up with that? But luckily I found one on a little like table display. And then I was on the hunt for Malice, could not find it anywhere, and I finally was like, I'm gonna have to ask someone to see if they have any in stock. But luckily they had just gotten a brand new shipment in, so it was like the first box. And she found it for me so quickly, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like I said earlier, I already started reading Malice, so being able to actually have my hands on it is very, very exciting. So apparently I'm on page 38. I'm actually going to pack this with me on my little trip. That way I have entertainment. I have a couple books that I'm going to be reading. My trip with Jan, I'm going to be reading Dragonfall, and that's probably the only book that I'll read with her, and then the vlog will end in like 2 days from now. And then the next day, the very next day, I'm filming a 24-hour read-a-thon with Katie, so be on the lookout for that. I need to pack some books for that, and this might make it on the little list. But Kennedy, I hope you're happy. I'm very happy. I don't know about y'all, but I'm super eager to have these two add to my collection, and honestly, spines are dope, covers are dope. This is gonna be so fun. I can already feel it. That is my little Barnes & Noble haul, my little Barnes haul, if you will. Hate that, actually. Nope, we're not gonna say that. Jan, I said that for you, and I immediately hated it, so revoking that. I also went to the downtown public library, the Orlando Public Library, and I hate driving the city so much, like downtown. I hate it. I hate it so much. But there's something that I hate more than driving the city, and that's paying for parking. Nothing, absolutely nothing irks me more than when I am forced to pay for parking, especially when I have to pay for parking to go into something that is free. Okay? I think that's absolute bullshit that I have to pay for parking to go into the library. Irked me to no end. I don't care how cheap it was. That is not the point. The point is, I don't want to be paying for parking. Okay? I'm not built to live in a city, near a city. Absolutely not. I need a tiny little town. Okay? I thought I didn't. Nope, I do. Anyways, I have a little library haul. I picked up 3 books. I was looking for manga that they did not have, a couple other books that they did not have, but they had this one because I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, that sounds so delightful. Let me see if the library has it, because we're already buying the 2 books, and I'm trying to calm down. These covers are very, very ugly, and they're a little bit of an older book, but the concept just kind of drew me in immediately, and I thought this would be kind of a fun read. So the first book is called Hounded by Kevin Hearn, and it's the first book in the Iron Druid Chronicles, and we have one of the last of the druids who stole this magical sword like ages ago, and now some gods are wanting that sword back. So he's kind of on the run, but it's an urban fantasy because he's running a bookshop in Arizona? Yeah, he's running a bookshop in Arizona. There's a little blip on the front, and it says, a page-turning and often laugh-out-loud funny capper through a mix of the modern and the mythic. I read the first like 7 pages in the Barnes & Noble, and I thought it was kind of funny, and I thought it would be a fun, quick read. This is like what the last few sentences on the back of the book says. I was telling you, like, the Celtic god wants his sword back. Now the determined deity has tracked him down, and Atticus will need all his power, plus the help of a seductive goddess of death, his vampire and werewolf team of attorneys, a bartender possessed by a Hindu witch, and some good old-fashioned luck of the Irish to kick some Celtic arse and deliver himself from evil. Like, that concept sounds so delightful, and I hope it'll just be a fun time. I'm actually debating putting this on my 24-hour read-a-thon TBR just because it feels like a very quick and easy read. And I picked up the next 2 books in the series just in case I do love it, and I didn't want to go downtown again to pick up the rest of the series. If I do love it, maybe I'll buy it, maybe I won't, we'll see. I'm a little confused on how this series works because there seems to be a lot of books, but then some of them are like novels or novellas or like short story. I'm a little lost. Seems like a delightful time, so there's my little library haul. These covers are definitely questionable. The redesign covers are kind of fun, but the first book came out in 2011, so it is a little bit of a, I don't want to say older book because it's not that old, like it's just over 10 years, but it seemed like a fun time, so I decided to pick it up. So that's my little library slash bookshop haul. I hope you enjoyed that little portion because this is the last you'll see of me alone. Next time we talk, I will be in Chicago meeting Jan for the first time. I'm sure the trip is going to be an absolute wonderful time. So let's go meet Jan.
Glistening.
So we've learned how Jan shops for books.
Oh god, it's glistening.
Are we in Italy? I feel like we're in Italy. It doesn't look very leany on camera.
No, it doesn't. Maybe you're just also crooked.
I beg your pardon?
She said, quick question. Oh, hi.
Hi. Jan is here.
I'm here.
We went book shopping yesterday. You saw some nice b-roll of that. I managed to buy 0 books and yet get yelled at.
Yelled.
Which
I yelled
oh
in public.
my god, yeah. She literally
I caused a scene.
bearing her finger at me. How dare you not buy books? Jan bought 5, so she wanted me to buy at least 1. For the ratio was not 0 to 5, but 1 to 5. I did look for a book. I was looking for The Will of the Many by James Islington. Maybe.
Is it Islington or Islington? Comment down below. Because I thought it was like Island, Islington. I don't know.
We were unsuccessful. By we, I mean me. And we got dissed on by the bookseller. He was like, yeah, we might not have it in stock because it's really popular on TikTok right now. I'm like, don't say that to me. Do not say that to me.
Is that what he said? I
yes.
didn't hear the full sentence.
Yes. And I was like, oh.
Oh, no. Call out. He was cool though. She was like, can you check if there's a book in stock? And he's like, yeah, we got books in stock. Which one? He was funny.
So
that
sassy.
was a good joke.
We're going to a little coffee shop situation thing. Both.
Separately.
And then we're gonna go, obviously, book shopping again. I told Jan that I would buy at least 1 book today, so we are
Holding
going
her
to be
to it.
on the hunt.
Y'all are holding
for
her
something. Because I definitely need more books.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen? Like you gotta get 1,200.
Is that how many you have?
I think something like
Oh,
that. I know.
and I
it's
thought my
gross.
300 was a lot.
No, I know it's gross. I mean, I've met people who have more, so it makes me feel better.
Yeah, this is not the only books. There's books on the side here, there's another bookshelf over here, and there's a little cart over here, and there's like books on the TV stand. She's got plenty to choose from though. You got such a variety.
I know. And yet, I'll probably buy like 3 more today.
Let's go. What are we doing first? Eating?
Eating breakfast.
Let's go eat breakfast.
And get a Nutella strawberry waffle. Strawberry Nutella waffle.
Sounds so good.
Yes.
Bye. Thumbs up. This feels like...
I know. I never know when you hit record. Like, you do it so quickly and swiftly and sneakily.
Catch you off guard.
So, Dragonfall. I literally, before I even came here, I was like, it's gonna turn around. Like, I'm gonna love Dragonfall. We're gonna meet Jan. It's gonna be so good. So we actually both DNF'd Dragonfall. I made it a grand total of 118 pages in.
Oh wow, farther than me. 49 for me.
Also, Jen got me this cute little dragon bookmark. We were twinning.
Yeah.
We were so cute. We were both reading Dragonfall with our little dragon bookmarks.
Yes,
and
it
then
came in a 2-pack actually. I didn't have to buy 2.
Yeah, it sucked.
First of all, the layout of it, the margins, I just can't. When it's not pleasant to my eye, I'm gonna not enjoy it.
It's only like 350-ish pages, but because of the weird spacing and like the tiny font, it felt so much longer. It also has first person, second person, and third person.
Or what?
4 points of view. Not pleasant to read, constantly swapping, and I do not like second person.
I love second person.
I hate it.
So I love the dragon's POV. But everything else, I was like, what is going on?
It's just kind of boring. Like, even 100 pages in, I'm like, not much has happened, and I'm just so uninvested in the story. The concept sounds so interesting. Execution, questionable at best. But I did as I promised Jan, and I bought some books.
Yes, in her new book sleeve.
Oh, yeah, and Jan gave me a little book sleeve that she
I'm
didn't
just
like.
providing everything she needs.
Jan's the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, we went to Bookends and Beginnings, which has, I mean, you saw the logo, but it's so cute. It kind of gives me Legends and Latte vibes, like with the logo.
That's what I thought too.
I have Song of the Huntress. I thought the cover was super duper cute. It is by Lucy Holland.
I've never heard of it.
It was in the used section, had Celtic knots. I was like, oh, say less. It sounded interesting. I don't feel like figuring out the synopsis right now. The words are not, it's not happening. But I also got, and I've actually seen this on Instagram, it's Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce, which I'm like,
It's so cute.
I'm so obsessed with this cover. It's so
I was
cute.
like, it's fantasy. It's a fantasy romance. Look at his
wrong.
ears. She's like, it's fake.
Like, he has like fake elf ears on because he plays D&D. She's a little musical theater kid. And it's pretty short, just under 300 pages it looks like. And it had cute chapter headers, so honestly I was sold for that.
Oh my god, cute.
Isn't that adorable?
Yeah.
I picked this one up. I thought it'd be a fun and just a quick read.
That
and
could count for your dragon vlog,
Oh my
technically.
god. Technically it could.
Maybe that'll be a hit.
Actually, yeah. We'll see. So we're actually going to do some sprints. I'm probably going to be picking up this during our sprints. I am still in the middle of Malice. I made it actually quite a bit further while I was on the plane because I was going to read Dragonfall, but guess who packed it away in their suitcase?
Ooh, that's a cute bookmark.
190. I got this from Japan. I made 190 pages in, still loving it. I know I said I wasn't gonna mention it again, but here we are. So that's the plan. Jan also bought like 3 more books, so she's up to 8 books in 2 days. It's an impressive track record, truly.
Yeah, yep. Actually, okay, you know how I said I bought 90 books? After yesterday's haul, it was 90 books.
Okay.
So now we're at 93.
Okay, I was
For
like,
the
are we
year.
closer to 100 now?
I mean, yes, but no. Here's a quick overview of the 3 I bought. I'm not gonna talk about them because it's not my spotlight, but here it is.
So that's the little update I wanted to provide you. I do have to leave so soon, pretty shortly after the sprints, unfortunately. I have another flight to catch with the connection.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, keep your eye out. That was my little haul. Let's do
Yes.
some sprints.
What a better way to start the outro than a wistful sigh. It's kind of indicative of this video, huh? They'll just have to trust us that there was a wistful sigh.
There was a very wistful sigh. I have come to wrap up this vlog. I'm here with Katie, if you didn't hear the disembodied voice.
I have no idea if you see me.
You are seen.
Oh, nice.
You're seen quite clearly.
Very nice.
I am here to wrap up this vlog though because I'm actually going to be starting a new one.
Woo!
With Katie.
Woo!
We're doing a little 24-hour readathon. It's going to be a delight. But I had a delightful time with Jan. It was very chaotic, but very fun. I had so much fun book shopping and just reading and hanging out with Jan. So I hope you enjoyed that. But we're here to wrap up what I read, more like what I didn't read at this point. I did finish The Priory of an Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Gave that a 2.5. Just wasn't really my thing. I think this book had quite a bit of potential, but was just very poorly executed and rushed in the bits that shouldn't have been rushed. Big old tragedy for that one. I also DNF'd When the Moon Hatched around page 250. The writing style, not it. So much telling, not enough showing, and a very insufferable character. I don't really regret DNFing that one that much, but I am sad that I also DNF'd Dragonfall. I know I didn't really speak on this one too much, but I wasn't a big fan of the narration style having first person, second person, and third person, and the fact that one chapter would be completely in third person, one chapter would be completely in first person, and one was like first and second person. It was just really jarring, and I wasn't a big fan of the writing. Again, there was a lot of just telling. There was this whole 1.5-page info dump that just made me feel like the author did not trust the reader and thought the reader might have been stupid and needed to explain this in a whole 1.5 pages. Not the biggest fan. DNF'd at page, I think, 120, something like that. Sad times. So as much as I love dragons, maybe books that have dragons just aren't it. Or maybe I just haven't found the right one. So if you have any dragon book recommendations that were actually good, please let me know down below, because I think I will continue the hunt. I might have to take a little pause, a little bit of a recharge away from the dragon books. Also worth noting, this book that I bought yesterday, I have read it. I did give it a solid 4 stars. It was just so fun, so cute. So if you're a big fan of like D&D, musical theater, like a just cute little high school romance, it was really well executed, because typically I'm not a big fan of high school romances because they just seem so cheesy. It wasn't like too over the top, but it didn't take itself too seriously at the same time. So this one was really cute and just a very quick read. It was like under 300 pages. This concludes this, I don't want to call it a disaster of a vlog. I mean, I met Jan, so it wasn't that much of a disaster, but the books I chose, disastrous. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, let me know, dragon books, please. Give me good ones. I just don't know how to pick good ones, evidently. Thank you, of course, to my lovely patrons. If you're wanting some more content from me, we have a read-a-thon happening sometime soon. We have extra videos, monthly buddy reads. It's just been a fun time over there, and I'm so happy to have brought it back. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Toodles!